Herzlich willkommen bei Whisky.de, dem Treffpunkt feiner Geister. Und heute sind wir bei The Open, bei dem großen Golfturnier hier im Norden Irlands. Und ich habe einen Gast mitgebracht, der sich gleich hier selbst vorstellen wird.
So my name is John Grieveson. I run the marketing for Loch Lomond Group. So brands such as Loch Lomond and Glen Scotia. And it's great to be here.
Yeah. So it's very good to have you here because our customers have a lot of questions. What's going on with Loch Lomond? We have this beautiful scenery in the background, which I immediately recognize as Loch Lomond. But we're here in Northern Ireland and we're at a golf tournament. So what has, whiskey and golf together?
Yeah, well, whiskey and golf are probably two of Scotland's greatest exports. And as a brand, Loch Lomond, we've gone through a massive transition over the last 3 or 4 years. Completely relaunching the range, raising the quality of our whiskies, introducing some new special editions. And golf gives us a great opportunity to make our brand more well known. There's a very, very close correlation between golf players and whiskey drinkers. And actually, there's also a very good correlation between golf markets and whiskey markets. If you think about the US or Australia, Germany, the UK, all very interested in golf, but also really interested in whiskey. So when you put all that together, it's a perfect combination.
It's a perfect combination, but I'm afraid to say in Germany, golf is just a rising sport. It's not that popular as it is here or in the old countries of the empire. We see here a special edition of the Loch Lomond for this golf tournament. And this is, I think, not really limited. It will be limited because next year there will be the next one for the next tournament. And over here, the 19-year-old Loch Lomond for, more or less the collectors and the very friend of the particular golf course. And I see there's a map on the front of the 18
Royal
holes.
Portrush. Yeah, that's right.
So you're not only running Loch Lomond, but as well Glen Scotia?
Yeah, our other brand is Glen Scotia. And much like Loch Lomond, we've been going through a process of relaunching the range, repackaging the range over the last 3 to 4 years. And we think we've got a wonderful story to tell. Campbelltown, it's a Campbelltown malt, and Campbelltown is one of the 5 malt whisky regions, but probably one of the most undiscovered, least well known. And we think that's a really interesting story for us to tell when you consider that Campbelltown was once the Victorian capital of the whisky world.
Yes, more than 30 distilleries just in Campbelltown.
Absolutely. So, our distillery was founded in 1832 at the time when, there were over 30 distilleries. So we think there's a really interesting, people who are interested in whiskey are interested in stories. There are so many stories. People from all around the world came to Campbelltown to learn more about how to make malt whiskey. And so Glen Scotia is a really important brand for us. And with the bottling at Glencatrine Bonded Warehouse, you have the possibility to issue smaller releases, where we at Whisky.de got one already. I think it's a port wine mature 2008 vintage. So this is smoky as well. So I think this is the upcoming possibility to develop that brand further to the gourmets and the connoisseurs. Absolutely. So, it's really important to have a very clear and understandable core range, which we're developing on both brands, but then to introduce some interesting special editions for, whiskey clubs or some special customers that we have, and just giving people chance to try different whiskies and for us to demonstrate our whiskey making capability. We have we have a wonderful situation where we've got plenty of whiskey stocks, and we have a wonderful master distiller in Michael Henry, who's able to play some lovely tunes, both in terms of how we run our distillation, but also in terms of our maturation and our use of wood, to create some really interesting whiskies, I believe.
Yeah, and you have very unusual equipment with a big variety of column still, as well as those Inchmurren stills with the rectifier stayed on top, and the huge big-necked Loch Lomond.
Yeah. That's a really big point of difference for us. You know, our Loch Lomond range of whiskies uses new make spirit, both from our swan neck stills, but our straight neck stills with the rectifying, as you said, and that gives Michael more opportunity to create new flavors, or to create flavors that's not so easy to create out of one particular still. So that's a really important point to us, and it's something that I'm working very hard on as a brand. How do we tell that story in a way that's easy to understand for people? Because it can become very technical very quickly. That's not what we want. We want it to be an easy story to tell.
Yeah, and you have different brands developed, more or less monolithic brands like Inchfad, Inchmurren, where you have these different styles tried to put in a bottle. Yeah,
so Inchmurren is just made from our straight neck still. There's no peat, so it's not smoky. Whereas Inchmoan uses the straight neck and the swan neck still, and is a more highly peated whiskey. And so, you know, that part of my challenge is making sure that the range architecture is very clear for people, and we're able to tell the story about which whiskies use which different stills. Because it's a lovely story to tell, I'd like to say that the more effort you put in up front in the distillation, the better result that you get at the end. That's my marketing line.
But I'm quite unhappy because there was a new regulation 10 years ago where they said that a single blend is no longer possible, or are you able with these column stills and the pot stills to have a single blend as a brand in your portfolio?
Well, we have single grain that comes from our continuous column still, but it can't be called a single malt.
Because the single malt has to be made from pot stills. That was in the regulation of 2009.
Correct. A batch process from pot stills. That's right. But our single grain whiskey is a lovely whiskey. Very light, very mixable, and you know, the fact that we can't say single malt on there because it is made from malted barley is something that we have to get round, because ultimately it's a great whiskey.
Okay, so this is the new way how your brands will develop. I wish you the very, very best for that. And have a look at our website, in our whiskey database, where you find those bottles and those special bottles as well, with all the data in it. So thank you very much for giving this interview to me.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.